To win a point in pickleball, you need to be on the serving side. And the founders of the game put in some rules that made it really tricky for the serving team to do just that. They only gave us one serve. We need to serve underhand. And when the ball comes back, we have to let it bounce before we can hit it. So no serving and volleying. Combine that with the really relatively tiny court on the other side and some pretty rudimentary equipment that we have to play the game with, especially compared to a lot of other racket sports. I've got a pretty short paddle, and then the wiffle ball, it has no rubber core or felt on the outside to produce some spin. So I find it really hard to produce enough pace or spin to cause much of a problem for the two opponents who are standing at the non-volley zone on the other side, covering only 20 feet of court. So hence the quandary, or as Webster says, a state of perplexity or uncertainty in a difficult situation. So let's talk about a few options here. Our first option is to try a traditional third shot drop. I prefer my forehand, so I'll probably serve from close to the middle to make sure I get a forehand when it comes back. I'm also going to try and make sure I swing at strikes. That means move my feet to make sure I hit the ball in relation to my body where I prefer. I'm aiming at the kitchen in front of the player who's on his way in. I may as well go for the player who's moving as opposed to the one who starts the point in a stationary position. So I'm looking to gently drop this ball into the kitchen in front of the player who just came in after his return of serve. So it's a pretty delicate shot. Sometimes I get that ball up a little bit too high. He's going to hit that one hard back at us. Other times we have to be careful to get that ball into the net. But when everything goes right, it lands right in the kitchen. Just a little breeze today, not too bad. So again, get my feet moving so I can swing at strikes. Use my knees, bend my knees, lift that ball up into the kitchen. Right there. Over the past few years, teaching more than 1,000 players of all levels, I've identified a couple of problem areas when it comes to the traditional third shot drop. The biggest one is we're hitting way too many third shot drops right into the net tape. We're so concerned with getting that ball up high enough for our opponent to smash the ball back at us that we're just cutting it razor thin and just not quite skilled enough, or the conditions aren't right, too much wind, spin on the ball, and we just hit that ball into the net tape a little bit too often. So I've been working on an alternative, something to add a tool to our toolbox, give us a little bit more variety when it comes to options for solving that third shot quandary. Let's explore an alternative to the traditional third shot drop, given some of the problems that we just identified with it. First of all, before the point even starts, as the server, I have some control over how far advanced the returner is able to make it toward the non-volley zone before I hit my third shot. If we hit, a regular looking low, fast serve that landed midway into the service box, our opponent is able to get a jump on it, get on up here and get close to the non-volley zone line before I hit my third. So instead, I'm going to prioritize a deep return, a nice deep ball that makes it a little bit more challenging for that returner to make it all the way in. So as we can see, Diego, our returner, has made it 3 or 4 or 5 steps away from the non-volley zone when I'm getting ready to hit my third shot. I've already agreed I'm not going to hit the ball at his partner who starts the point, leering at me from only 7 feet away right there. I'm going to hit that ball at the returner's feet as he comes in. But I'm conscious of the clock that's ticking. If I hit a traditional looking third shot drop, it takes a little while to get there. Diego is definitely going to finish arriving all the way up at the non-volley zone line. So I'm looking to get that ball at his feet while he may still have a step or two to go in order to get to the non-volley zone. I'm going to use a traditional forehand ground stroke, just looking to get that ball at his feet. And unlike the traditional third shot drop, I'm not aiming for the kitchen. All right, that would be a mistake if that ball lands short. I want to get that ball a little bit deeper so that it lands in the blue. I'm aiming for his feet, trying to get that ball, at him before he makes it to the non-volley zone line. If I do that, we can see that I'm clearing the net by just about, plenty plenty of room. It's not going to hit the net. And I'm also not getting that ball up around his eye level. So the goal is catch him while he's still in the blue on his way in, get that ball at his feet, not worry so much about it landing in the kitchen. And from there, I feel pretty good about my partner and I having the chance to advance and move forward, play some winning pickleball up there at the non-volley zone line. Let's take a look at this new school third shot drop in action. Remember, I'm going to hang out close to the middle line. That's where I served from. I'm not looking to do anything fancy here. I just want to get the ball at the feet of the returner as he's on his way in. Not terribly concerned if it's a little bit too high. We'll cover that. I'm just really looking to not hit this ball into the net. Get into the rally. All right, it's going to land right at his ankles right there. I'm into the rally, just a regular basic ground stroke, forehand, backhand, doesn't matter what it is. I'm just looking to get that ball to his feet rather speedily. All right, I don't want to put a lot of loft on the ball so that he can close the distance to the non-volley zone. I'm just looking to get that ball at his feet while he's still on his way up to the non-volley zone. Right there. Common concerns I hear from players when learning the new school drop is, well, I understand that the returner may not be all the way up to the kitchen line when you hit the third shot, but they should have closed the gap while the ball is in the air. Very true. And sometimes the returner is savvy and they put a little bit of air under their return, which allows them to make it all the way to the non-volley zone. I'm not terribly concerned about that. I'm still aiming for their feet 4 or 5 steps away from the kitchen line. If they make it all the way there, they're going to cut that ball off. They made it all the way up to here. They're going to cut that ball off right here. That ball would have landed back here. They're allowed to hit it out of the air. But if they hit that ball right here, they're hitting up. And as the serving team, I'm plenty happy to have the returners hitting their next ball up. I don't want them hitting this shot, and I certainly want to avoid putting that ball into the net, right here. The next step is we are anticipating that we'll definitely be having to hit a mid-court fifth shot. We know he's going to get that ball back to us. I'm anticipating a fifth shot. Both players will have made it up to the kitchen line at that point. And now I'm going to work really hard with my ball machine to see if I can't play that fifth shot from down here, softly landing it in the kitchen. Again, my fifth shot is going to need to land in the kitchen. Otherwise, they're going to be able to attack us out of the air. That third shot, I'm more than willing to have it be a couple of feet beyond the kitchen line, knowing that they're going to hit up. Get ready to hit that fifth shot. The whole key to the new school third is that I do a whole lot less of this with my third shots, clearing the net by about yay high. It lands a couple of feet behind the kitchen line. They're going to play that fourth shot. My partner and I are going to practice diligently on our fifth.